Barbie meets patriarchy again. Why Margot Robbie's, Greta Gerwig's Barbie Oscar snubs touch a nerve. Oscar nominees Ryan Gosling, America Ferrera react to Margot Robbie, Greta Gerwig's shocking exclusion from Best Actress and Best Director category. Does it overshadow? They're not. I'm reading this, and honestly, the one thing I'm walking away with is being quite shocked that the Oscars are still a thing.
He was nominated for an Oscar, but Barbie herself, Margot Robbie, wasn't for Best Actress.
I mean, I know they have to be, but who even watches this? But anyway, let's talk about the topic of Barbie. Barbie was a successful movie, and understandably so, because I don't know of any other time where there's been an actually well-produced live-action Barbie movie, and Barbie is a gigantic IP. Everyone knows what a Barbie is. Even I, who despised Barbies, had my mom buy me Barbies. I tore them all to shreds and popped off their heads and legs because I absolutely loathed the things. Dolls used to scare me as a child, and I just wasn't into the whole girly thing because I like cars and dinosaurs and Nerf guns, and that's fine. Most girls didn't. But my best friend had a collection of Barbies. I mean, she had like over 100 Barbies. I think she had like 200 of them. And playing at her house with those Barbies was the only time I would ever entertain remotely tolerating them. For her sake, because I loved her so much, and I still do. I say this to say that I understand the appeal for anyone who wants to have a glorious character to play with that can come in many different shapes and sizes and colors. Okay, maybe not shapes and sizes. They all seem to be one standard shape. But even though we weren't as big-breasted as the Barbies, it didn't matter because we could make them have different looks with doing up their hair and their clothes, and play with Barbies or dolls is something that has been passed down through generations. I think Barbies kind of functioned as Sims before Sims was a thing. Anyway, with Margot Robbie playing Barbie, which was perfect cast in my opinion, I definitely had to watch it because I absolutely love Margot Robbie. She was a main draw to this movie for me, and it was colorful, it was fun, even though there were very cringy moments. The whole theme of the movie was a bit weird, but funny enough, it does fall in line with the Barbie franchise. They weren't wrong because Ken was an afterthought in the Barbie world IRL. It was very female-centric. Ken was just a hot body that Barbie had by her side. And there weren't many Ken dolls, or as many Ken dolls as Barbie dolls, not to my knowledge anyway. I think the first time I saw a Ken doll was at my best friend's house, and she only had two. A Muscle Beach tanned one and a Muscle Beach black one. That was it. No Asian one, no nothing else. Now, I'm reading this article, and I'm a little bit confused because it seems as though people are upset that the female, like certain female characters weren't recognized. And look, despite the fact that the film made $1 billion, it wasn't that great. It was a good movie, but it wasn't this eye-opening, world-shattering, revolutionary production. I mean, you never know. Nowadays, with the crap that's being put out, it might have been refreshing because it was colorful and it's a big IP, and that's fine. It was enjoyable, and I walked away thinking to myself, I just watched a Barbie movie. Okay, that was cute, but there's no pull in me to watch it again. I know I've already mentioned that there might be some bias there because Barbie isn't really my thing. It's the last thing I would watch. But even if it was, I would have to admit that it's not that great of a movie. It's a good movie. It's just fun and entertaining, but not something that I would consider a better movie than something like Captain America Civil War. I think the better question is, how does someone even qualify for the Oscars? Well, the article claims each member votes only on their branch's categories at the nomination stage. So actors nominate actors, directors nominate directors, etc. All voting members are eligible to select the Best Picture nominees. As for final votes, all categories are on the ballot for members. According to the Hollywood Reporter, the director's branch makes up less than 6% of the full Academy. It's also among the organization's oldest and most male, as it's currently 75% men, which could have been a factor in Gerwig's exclusion for Barbie. However, the category did see one woman nominated, as Justine Triet, Anatomy of a Fall, was recognized. Ever since the Academy changed the Best Picture category to include 10 contenders, there's usually at least one uproar per year in the acting or directing categories, which recognizes only 5 nominees. Okay, but the fact that other females were nominated kind of takes the whole "they're mostly male" argument apart, doesn't it? The article also mentions Gosling disappointed. Robbie and Gerwig were not recognized. Social media went wild on Tuesday, pointing out how ironic it is that Ken, Ryan Gosling, was nominated while Barbie, Margot Robbie, was not. In a statement, Gosling acknowledged that there is no Ken without Barbie, and there is no Barbie movie without Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie, the two people most responsible for this history-making, globally celebrated film. To say that I'm disappointed that they are not nominated in their respective categories would be an understatement. He has to say that. Of course he has to say that, or he's gonna come under fire too. You're not saying anything. Gosling, while grateful to the Academy for his nomination, said in a statement, "Against all odds, with nothing but a couple of soulless, scantily clad, and thankfully crotchless dolls, they made us laugh, they broke our hearts, they pushed the culture, and they made history. Their work should be recognized along with other very deserving nominees." I think it is recognized since the film made, what, $1 billion, as you say? Yeah, I looked it up. It made over $1 billion. Shut your mouth. It needs to be recognized. It $1 billion. What more do you need recognition for? You made over $1 billion, but you need an award? Bro, this is why I don't take stuff like this seriously. Like, I don't know. All of that seems like a very cute statement from Ryan, but it kind of sounds as though we should just nominate people because we feel sorry for them. I'm sorry I didn't feel sorry for the people who made $1 billion and make millions and are super rich. I mean, America Ferrera was nominated, so why are people getting upset? Is she not a female? If the Oscars are now just about selecting people because you feel sorry for them or you want to meet some quota, then what is the point of it? I understand sometimes, yes, it can feel a little bit unfair, but that's the name of the game. Academy members are going to vote for their respective categories, and if they didn't vote for you, what are you going to do? Force them to and guilt them into doing it? I take things like this with a grain of salt too, because nowadays you don't even know as a woman or someone of an ethnic minority whether or not the award or nomination you got is really due to your hard work and skill, or if it's just these organizations trying to prove that they're not racist and sexist. Don't get me wrong, there are really great actors and actresses out there that deserve their awards, but because the world has become such a hand-me-out culture of pretending to feel sorry for people based on the way they look, now you honestly, you don't know. It's kind of similar to how I feel when I play online games or MMOs, and if I'm in the voice chat, that's why I don't really do voice chat anymore, but if I'm in voice chat and people hear that I'm a girl, they treat me very differently. They'll either let me win or give me free stuff or apologize. You know how many dudes have apologized when they were griefing me? And I'm sorry, I may be toxic, but I love griefing in games. I don't do it personally, but I love it being done to me because it really raises the stakes and make me feel like shit, this is the dog eat dog world out there and I'm getting banged for my buck. I love that. I enjoy that. That freaking is amazing. It makes the game 10 times better for me. But then you have people that straight up, you know, I'll try to shit talk them or something and like, oh, hi. Like their whole thing just changes and I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Here we go. They'll either let me win this game, right? Or they'll be like, nah, oh, I'm sorry. And in the back of my mind or in the forefront of my mind, I'm always fully aware that it had nothing to do with my skill or because I charmed them or won them over or, you know, helped myself to protect myself. It's mainly because they heard I was female and their instinctual biological imperative to protect a member of the female of their species kicked in. That is all it boils down to. I can only say with certainty that I am skillful in a certain Smash Brothers game and certain racing games that I've played to death with my cousins and brothers who don't give one iota about me being a girl. We love each other to pieces, but we are so competitive in my family and they just wanted to beat me because I was the best, especially at that Super Smash Brothers. Out of the many, many times I have beaten them, and for the first time they beat me. It's so funny recounting it because it's so sad, but it's so cute at the same time. It was such a monumental victory for them. I remember laughing at them because I was thinking, there was one, my cousin, and then one of my twin brothers beat me. And I thought to myself, man, you poor thing, you must have been suffering. I've beaten you for 5 years straight, and this one victory means the world to you past the hundreds of tournaments and battles we've had. But I understand it because they know for certain that they beat me because of their own skill. Their skill improved. They practiced. They were relentless in their training. They played it day in, day out. They're like, I can't beat my big sister. I can't beat my big cousin. Nah, fam, nah. And then they finally were able to beat me. And it got to the point I recognized, because I wasn't practicing or playing as much as them. I had shit to do. And I also had to like take care of those stuff. So it's like, okay, I'm not practicing, I'm not training as much as you. And I could tell gradually that they were getting better, that it was getting harder. And then they would all team up on me when we were doing the free-for-all. That part was freaking funny as hell. And they still couldn't beat me. Wasn't it? Like, that's so funny to me, man. I was the best. Good times, good times. So for them, it's like beating a boss, but having to get better to do it. So I understand why they were jumping for joy and laughing in my face and pointing in my face, even though they only won one little battle. But if I had babied them and pulled my punches, they would never know if them winning was actually them having won. I understand there definitely was prejudice in these organizations and there's a bit of nepotism there too. But then in that regard, why would you even take the Oscars seriously knowing this? It was really interesting to read some of the comments though below in Yahoo, which I'm surprised Yahoo is still up. But one comment said, it was not great of a movie. It was slightly amusing when it wasn't being overbearing in its message and doing badly at trying to say both extremes were wrong, especially when it's not realized at the end. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not the only one who saw that. That was such a weird ending. Because that would have put Barbie or females on the higher road, but then they did exactly the same thing that males would have done anyway. The script, no matter what any of the actors say, was not, in fact, genius, and the directing is not anything that other people have not done already. Ken and Alan were the best parts of the film, and Ken's song was okay, so it shouldn't really have been nominated either. It was all around a meh movie that should not even be in the Oscars run. Another one stated, I saw Barbie, and though it made over $1 billion worldwide, I wasn't impressed. I'm not surprised it wasn't nominated for Best Original Screenplay because the story had a lot of holes, and director/writer Gerwig decided to go political and make it more about Ken and patriarchy. We, the moviegoers, don't nominate the actors, directors, writers, or Best Picture. SAG actors decided Margot's character of Barbie didn't rise to Oscar royalty, nor did directors in the DGA believe that Gerwig rose to that height either. However, Barbie was given a nom for Best Picture, which I believe was a sympathy vote, knowing it's unlikely to win against the more serious Oppenheimer and Flower Moon in the same category. I agree with that. I fully do. It was followed by another statement that said, "It's laughable it's even being considered for an Oscar. The Lego Movie was a better movie and it didn't get near the hype, but neither are Oscar worthy. The movie was very flawed. Margot Robbie was great, but it's rare anyone gets nominated for an action comedy kids movie."
When Barbie first came out, a lot of y'all talked y'all's talk about that little monologue, that little feminist 101 speech, and how it wasn't radical enough and how it didn't push the boundaries enough. And I'm not saying that you're wrong. You're right. It was a really basic, rudimentary speech. But what I am also saying is that Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig both got snubbed for Barbie at the Oscars. And it's not that they got snubbed, it's that Ryan Gosling got a nom for Ken. I mean, between our obsession with Ken and the I Am Knuff hoodies, Ryan Gosling's Oscar nom, and I'm Just Ken's Critics' Choice Award win and Grammy nom, Ken is getting way more attention and praise than any of the women in Barbie, thus reinforcing the plot of Barbie. What it looks like is that while many of us who are well-versed in feminism did not need that basic speech, clearly some people did, and clearly some people still do. My point is, just because a lot of us are taking Feminism 756, a lot of people did not take Feminism 101, and in fact, very much do need it.
No, the reason why Ken was probably nominated is because the song "I'm Just Ken" is stuck in everybody's heads, or because, well, like Ryan Gosling, his name has more pull than the other people's. I don't know, but I swear to God, when I walked away from the Barbie movie, all I kept remembering is how pretty Margot Robbie was, how great of a cast she was for Barbie, and the "I'm Just Ken." Like, every few days, I'd hum it in my head because it's very catchy as hell. Not to mention, Ken was the underdog, and it's funny that everyone is talking about the patriarchy. I'm gonna say something that's gonna upset a lot of people, and I always do. So I should get used to it by now. I'm not saying this to upset people, it's just my opinion, so check your emotions. But the whole point of Ken's song and his speech and his role in the movie was that he was living in a world that was not a patriarchy. Ken and the other males were seen as wallpaper, basically. Even in the end of the movie, they weren't given their full freedom or what have you. They had to work their way up and fully equalize themselves, similar to how women have become nowadays. You know, because women are equal in rights. Women can basically do most jobs that men can, or at least I shouldn't say they can do most jobs that men can. They're allowed to do most jobs that men can, but don't take those jobs for some reason. I wonder why. Garbage women, tree cutters, those skyscraper window washing people, those people that work on those pole lines that can kill you if you do something wrong and you can fall from a great height. Sewage, plumbers, mechanics. No one's stopping you. Why are we not doing janitors? Why are we... You know what I'm saying? Anyway, if you're saying that the majority of the sport is patriarchy, or the members, or what have you, is it possible that when the men watched this, they actually resonated with Ken? Because I don't know if you noticed, but in modern day, men aren't exactly treated very well. And you see it kind of flowing over into the entertainment industry and the stuff that's being put out, like Barbie. So many men have gotten burned by court cases and false allegations from women just coming out and saying that the man did something to them with no shred of evidence whatsoever, and they get put away for a huge swath of their life. Brief story time notation. I've mentioned this before in another video, but in case you haven't seen it, I've seen this firsthand. As a woman, I have seen it not just on the internet, but in my personal life. Several of my male friends, and with a specific male friend of mine who was a veteran. He was our neighbor, actually. He wanted to get out of this toxic relationship with this woman. He's a romantic to a fault. He's very sweet, a little bit of a pushover. Maybe that was the problem, and he got stuck in this toxic relationship with this woman who revealed she already had a boyfriend in jail that she was still talking to. Anyway, she was very toxic, manipulative, and really just a nasty person to everybody. Like, she just had this vibe when she's walking past you, the way she looks at you, and it's everybody in the neighborhood. She didn't want him to leave because he would have left her with the rent, and she liked being able to control him. He was kind of providing for her. The guy wanted to off himself because of this, and he already had issues that stemmed from his time in the army. She literally told him, I'll just tell them that you threatened me with one of your guns, because he had guns legally. And she's like, I'll just tell them that you threatened me with one of your guns, or that you hit me. If you really want to play that game, we can get the cops involved. And he called her bluff, and he still tried to leave because he was like, she's done this over and over again. So he broke up with her. He's like, whatever, do whatever. And she called the cops. And when the cops came, who were all men, by the way, he told them the truth of what happened, and that he never hit her. He never threatened her with guns. He doesn't have a record. He's a veteran. And the cops straight up told him, son, we believe you. Sorry though, sucks. I get it. Fortunately, it's her word against yours. That's just how it is. And they obviously felt helpless in that situation. But if a woman comes out and says something happened, regardless of whether or not there's evidence, you did it. That is very terrifying to me as a woman. And I'm not a dude. I'm a woman, and that's terrifying to me. I can only imagine if I were a guy, I wouldn't want to go anywhere near women just on principle. At the very thought that in an instant my life can be ruined just based on something that she says because she feels rejected by me or just feels some type of way about me. And she doesn't even have to know me. We don't have to know each other. She could just say, that dude right there, he did something to me. And I still have reason to be afraid because I have brothers. I have uncles. I have a dad. I don't know, but that doesn't sound like a patriarchy to me. Maybe one day it was, but in the world today as it stands in this first world country, clearly women have most of the power and pull in many aspects. There are situations where men definitely have more power than women, but they're not in the situations that you think. It's actually quite funny. However, let's not ignore the fact that there is a considerable effort to cater to women. I don't want any organization to present me as a woman with awards just because I complained about a man receiving one. If I were to receive an award in such a scenario in a day where other women are receiving awards, it's not like no other women are receiving awards, but I question whether or not I truly earned it, or if it was given to me merely because I was bitching about it and the organization wanted to avoid appearing sexist and out of pity. That defeats the whole purpose of being a woman, which is winning on your own merit. And even if you don't get an Oscar, if there are enough people that love you and recognize you, I don't know, due to the fact that your movie made over $1 billion, that should be enough. You got paid a very large sum of money. What is it with these modern people and wanting other people to validate them all the time? Like, why are we so dependent on people's validation for our mental fortitude? Like, it just makes no sense to me. The Oscars don't even give you a cash prize or anything like that. Sure, you get recognition, but you get recognition within your circle. Most people that I know who are ordinary audience members or moviegoers do not give a damn about which people got an Oscar or whatnot. If you told me who won an Oscar, name one person who won an Oscar, I couldn't tell you. I could probably guess. Morgan Freeman, he's a big enough actor. Did he win one? I don't know. I don't care. Even as a film student, the whole idea of the Oscars kind of means nothing to me. I mean, people like Leo DiCaprio got snubbed as well for things I believe he deserved an Oscar for, like Django and Wolf of Wall Street.
Fuck you, you fucking bitch!
His performance in those were top tier. Holy shit. Like, I never used to like Leonardo DiCaprio, but I was shown those movies and I'm like, damn, this is fire. Bro is acting with his chest. Like, I am so surprised. Many other A-list male actors got snubbed as well. So I don't want to hear it. Funny though, you don't hear Leonardo saying anything about it. Maybe he did, but I didn't hear it. The internet surely isn't backing him and saying, look at what you did to Leo. Don't see people having an outcry about that. Maybe it's because he's rolling around in his bed of cash at night and he cares less about what everybody thinks, but everyone still knows his name, and I will still watch any movie he's in because of his performances. I can tell you right now that regardless of whether or not America Ferrera was nominated, I'm not eager to watch anything she's in because I don't care. I don't even know her. Like, where did she come from? And that whole speech that she did, first of all, it didn't resonate with me at all. I get where she was coming from. The speech, it was interesting. You do have some point, but it's not a speech where I was like, crying like that. And it wasn't the best acting either. I feel like if Margot Robbie had done it, she could have done a better job because she's a better and stronger actor. But that's just me. I'm still gonna watch anything Margot Robbie is in. And I will kind of stay away from anything that Greta directs. That's just my honest opinion. Shoot me.